Let's be honest here. Games are fun. Most of us grow up dreaming to become a game developer. Some of us succeed while others fail. And speaking of failure, I have an interesting fail story about a game developer here. But in today's video, I want to discuss about 5 common misconceptions that people have about game development. So let's get started. Misconception number 1. Game developer equals gamer. Imagine telling a friend something like this. Hey, so what do you do for a living? Well, I'm a game developer. So that means you're like, what, playing games all day? And you're like, what? Well, this is a common misconception. And a lot of people underestimate how much work and effort is put into each game. And one of the reasons is because making games is a complex activity and it involves a lot of skills and a lot of knowledge. And to be able to release something successful, a person needs to go through the famous blood, sweat and tears, which is not something easily achievable, like just starting your Xbox and playing some games. Misconception number 2. Release a game and get rich. Fast, please. So most people, even these days, think that working hard, really hard on a game, spending years and then releasing it, for example, on Steam, then they immediately get rich. Well, I have a surprise for you. In most cases, you won't. You won't even make $5,000. If I were to have an analogy here, that would be playing a lottery, and you have actually more chances because you waste less time by buying a lottery ticket than investing years into making a game. So why this misconception? Why do people still think that if they release a game, it will be instant success? And don't get me wrong, in some cases, it actually might be. But in most cases, I see like 90% of the cases, it won't be. It won't be even bearable amount of money to live by. So let's go back in time to the year 2000 or even the 90s. So back then, the game development entry level was quite high. A lot of people need to learn C++, for example, and they used graphics libraries or their own solutions to create games. Back then, 3D engines and engines in general, game engines in general, they're barely a thing, so nobody used them. But these days, this game development process is getting democratized by Unity, Godot, Unreal, and a lot of other game engines, which allow people to make games quite easily without them needing to know any programming or any art, because you can just download assets from the asset store, or even knowing anything by just downloading full projects and putting them on Steam. And there you go, you get an asset flip. So this is why it's a lot different from 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and it's not gonna be the same going on further. Misconception number 3. Making a successful game equals the game development process. And what's wrong with this one? Is because people still think that if they work really hard on their games, they will have success because how much effort they put into it. But if we take a moment and think about how come bad games or simple games get a lot of reception and they get a lot of money, and really polished, well-made games are under the radar and actually nobody knows about them. So what's actually behind all of this? Well, for example, it's one simple thing called marketing, and a lot of game developers tend to focus on the last mile to it, so just before releasing their game, or in even worst case scenario, after they release the game. And if you're doing marketing after you release your game, then that game probably is going to be a failure. So you have to start preparing marketing your game really early in the development process to make sure that you validate your idea and to continue with something that actually people want to play. Misconception number 4. Game development is filled with failures. And what does that mean? So if we go back 10 years before, 20 years before, there are not a lot of big players. And right now in today's world, a lot of big companies and a lot of market share goes into game development. That means that it has become a real business. And if we want to be successful, we need to have the right mindset to be able to handle the business and to be able to push this forward. And speaking about mindset, This channel is focused on developing your game developer mindset, which will make you one step ahead of the competition. So if you like these ideas and you want more, consider subscribing to the channel. Did you know that 90% of the new created startups fail? Well, this is happening in game development as well. So it's the same process. So if you're basing your actions on the fact that you can release something and you want to make sure that it's successful and you want to pursue that path, then probably what you need to do is to find out the new markets that are getting created. So for example, in 2010 there was mobile apps. In a couple of years ago there was Nintendo Switch market, and now for example is the VR market. But nobody knows if this is going to succeed or fail, so do it on your own risk if you want to pursue these new markets that are popping. And you can see that a lot of big companies are not jumping ship into these new markets because they cannot guarantee success on them. So if you're looking for the first mover's advantage, seek these markets that are getting formed and forget, for example, Steam or other markets that are already saturated. Misconception number 5. Making the game you want to make equals success, and it does not equal that. And this is the most problematic of them all, because we as game developers start by creating the games we want to play. And in a lot of cases, those games are just working for us, and for other people they might seem really bad. So this is an assured way to failure. In order to have success in this, we need to have a balance between what we want to make and what others want to play. Let me explain these two in detail. So the first, making something you want to make is really important because it keeps you motivated and it keeps you going and going without getting instant gratification. By the way, if you want to know how to boost your motivation, I have a video about this popping up right now. But this is really important. We need to do something that we really want to do as the first step. As for the next step, make the games that other people want to play. Of course, this is the intersection between what you want to do and what others are willing to pay for. So it's really important to do your research and make sure that before starting your idea and putting a couple of years into it. So as a conclusion here, try combining what you like with what others like, and this will help you to create a successful game. And also, speaking of creating a successful game, I have 5 tips plus 1 bonus in this video about creating a successful game. What do you think? Have you stumbled upon other misconceptions? Then if you did, share them below in the comment section because I'm really curious about your opinion. In order to have success in game development these days, we need to start with the correct mindset. And on this channel, you'll get exactly this: how to develop your game developer mindset to be one step ahead of the competition. If you like this kind of content, consider subscribing to the channel because more videos about this are coming. I'm Adrian and I'm signing out.